There's the recording. And so that external source is shaky. Like one day they like you, the next day they don't. They like this policy, they don't like that policy. They like that example, they don't like this example. The porridge is too hot, the porridge is too cold. Like it's hard to get it right for everyone all the time. So let's replace it. Let's say, let's be confident in really who you are, that internal source. That's really where I had to start. And it took me a while to learn that because as you'll learn later on, like I'm a big community guy. I do like to see large levels of engagement, big teams doing big things. But it all starts with you. Here's the model. As you can see in the core of the model, it's like self-awareness, self-management. That's got the yellow rectangle around it. That's what you've really got to master before you can get into even communication skills. You can get into effective hiring and even maximizing your team's performance. So I learned where my motivation comes from a long time ago. So I want to give you just a snippet so that you can learn a little bit more about yourself and where your motivation comes from. Because once you know why you want to be a leader, I think the rest does get a lot easier. There's essentially three sources of motivation. So the first one here, there's that like autonomy or that achievement. The second, the affiliation. And then there's the need for power. Like as soon as I said power, I know a lot of people on the call are like, oh, that's bad. That can't be good. Let's watch out. We'll get
Yep.
into it for sure. And just know that like these aren't the only sources. These are the big ones. And it's not like you have one and then you don't have others. It's just a matter of like, what's your first, second, third? Like, what
Sure.
order do they kind of fall in?
Yep.
And so let's dive a little bit deeper. Like, let's talk a little bit about the first one here, the need for achievement and autonomy. So if this resonates with you, it's because you like the personal accomplishment, you like the personal responsibility, and you're a little bit more into like independent decision making versus that group consensus. Like you'll lean in that direction. For me, as I've gone through like the self-assessments I've learned about myself, this was my number three. So I do enjoy it. Like there's some satisfaction. Like I have spearheaded major process improvement initiatives. It's brought like satisfaction to see a team come together and say, "Hey, I'm leading this effort." I have heard complaints from coworkers, about management, and then I've decided, "Hey, I'm going to improve the work environment around here. Like I'm going to take the initiative and do something about it." And so that's good. Like if you can relate to that, then this one might be one of your top three, or not your one of your top three, but like it might be your number one or number two. So Brad, I don't know. Can you relate to this one?
Yeah, and I can relate to that's a fantastic picture. It looks like you're accepting an award. Like that is a, a fantastic mugshot. Absolutely, I can. And what's funny is you're one for one. Like I said, I'm 25 years into leadership and I still struggle with number one, wanting to just be liked. And it comes at time at the cost of my own performance and the performance of my team at times because I'm too worried about everyone liking me. So I find it very interesting that you're one for one. I'm very excited to see what the additional ones are. But yeah, absolutely. I can relate to this one already. And I'm as I see the other ones, I'll be able to think about what order they're in. But this one absolutely hits home.
So then let's get into affiliation and then let's get into power. So
Okay.
affiliation then. Affiliation will resonate with you if you like that service to others, the relationships more than accomplishment. And then the flip side of the other one, like you like the group consensus versus the independent decision making. And so this one for me, I mean, I kind of alluded to it, but it was my number one. Like this is big. I'm a big community guy. Like the bigger the engagement, the bigger the community, the stronger the affiliation, the better. I love being a member of the Kaizen team. I love putting together and kind of geeking out with the impact difficulty decision matrix. Like, hey, if the team doesn't have that to help make team decisions, like we should put some logic behind how we make decisions. Or even like these days, my team will joke around about the fact that like I like to brainstorm with the team. Like there's a lot of brainstorming if you're part of the MA team, the immediate team. And so like little stickers have been made up that says, I survived another brainstorming session. It's like, yep, I got it. I got it. Thank you. I'll make sure to temper it. So maybe this resonates with you. If it's resonates strongly, it might be your number one source of motivation behind why you want to be a good leader.
Yep. This one resonates more than the first one even. Yep.
More than the first one.
For me,
Okay,
yeah.
so then the last one, like the last one's power. Like I said, like watch out. Because as soon as you see the power word, it's like, ooh, that's bad. And it can be bad if, like it says here, if your actions are self-serving. Like that
Okay.
is by far the number one thing. Like power can be used for good or not so good initiatives. It's not so good if it's self-serving. It can be good if you're like, hey, I want to have power so I can make an impact and influence others, right? Or you want to champion the aspirations of others, what they want to do, or you want to articulate the goals that motivate others. So if you're using power for good for others to help pave the way for them to be successful, then power is absolutely a good thing. So, like for me, I was motivated, and this was my number two, by the way. I was motivated to lead the daily stand-up huddles when I had the opportunity and it gave me an opportunity to say here's the agenda and this is the best way to engage the team and I did have some control and power over it and then I want to make sure that we have an opportunity to listen from the team so that I can get that voice of the employee. That was really important.
Mhm.
Or I used to do the new employee training. Like I was responsible for delivering that. I was championing kind of their success, in terms of what good looks like 30, 60, 90 days. Or another one was just, hey, the team has lots of great ideas in brainstorming. I did kind of, take charge and organize the execution and say, well, hey, I want to be the perfect cover for you to be successful. Here's how I'm going to do that. And so in that way, power motivates me. So
Yeah.
those are the
You,
big three.
do you feel like there's at all a slippery slope of where you could start down the road of wanting to help others and motivate others and such and get sort of a high on the power side of it and slip over to the dark side of power?
For sure. I mean, you get the dopamine hit, right? Because
Okay.
you have the
Yeah.
formal authority, and people, to an extent, do have to do what you say. And we'll get into that around clarifying
Okay.
expectations.
Okay.
And so, if you're not careful, absolutely. But realize that you will lose your power if it is self-serving. It will not last. It will not sustain.
Okay. Okay.
I see the question.
Okay. Yep. You saw that come in. Do you want to address that now?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you a short answer now and maybe a long one later, but how can new leaders make tough and necessary decisions without damaging trust within their team? The first thing I would say that when it is tough, like you get emotional and you got to say, okay, is the juice worth the squeeze? And the juice is always worth the squeeze when you're talking about core values or paving the way for the team to be successful. And so you got to kind of lean into those tough conversations and my one tip would just say it. I just say it like this is tough for me to say and then pause and they're kind of like okay, I get it, what's coming, or this is tough for me to do, and it's like okay, we're gonna have like a serious conversation or serious follow-up here.
Right.
And so you grab their attention. So how can you do it? Call a spade, right? Just say this is really tough. That's the first thing you can do. I'll get into then how do you do it without damaging trust
Okay.
within the relationship. I mean, the short answer there is, you measure everything in manufacturing. You got to measure your say do ratio. If you say and you don't do, then you lose trust. If you do, but you didn't even say, like didn't give them a heads up, you're going to lose trust there. I can get into some examples and details there about how
Okay.
I've personally dealt with that because that's important.
Fantastic. Yep.
I want people to just even jot down like what's their one, two, and three. How would they rank them as like a takeaway? Achievement, affiliation, or power. It's good for you to know what motivates you because the more you know about yourself, the more confident you'll be and you'll be consistent and the less you'll rely on others liking you, which is that big mistake. Okay. Mistake number two. Should we keep cruising, Brad?
Yeah, keep cruising. Yep.
Okay, so mistake number two that I see all the time is that people actually struggle to let go. And so you're responsible for the people around you, and yet you're still doing the work, and you really need to give them an opportunity to excel. The underlying cause here is that you believe something bad is going to happen if you let go, right? So you want control. So instead of letting go, you're controlling so that nothing bad happens, which I totally get. I think we've all been there, but you do need to make that transition from, you know, doing the work, the hands-on work to leading others. And so you got to make it safe to let go. And there's a couple of experiences I've had here that have allowed me to do that that I think you could use as inspiration. Number one, just acknowledging the transition. Number two, I add facts to feelings. And then number three, there's a development component here that will make it safe. So I'll share some stories around these three things real quick here. I think I see some more comments come in, which is great. So you got to acknowledge it first. You got to acknowledge the fact that there is a power shift. And so here's the immediate team within MA. And when I stepped into my leadership role, I just said straight up, like, hey guys, I need to be a good example. I want to be a good example to all of you because all eyes are on me. Like, whether I like it or not, like, you're looking at me to be a good example. Like, that's my intent. And so that was me just acknowledging this shift. And I also asked about concerns. There was a couple of people where I'm like, hey, like our kids play tennis together. You're good. We're still good, right? Like this is still good. I'll see you Saturday at 1. Like you're still good. And so just asking about concerns and like leaning into it, even if it was uncomfortable or tough, uh, and it kind of opens the door for someone to say, well, hey, if, or when you do, or now that you're in charge, yeah, I do have a couple questions, a couple comments. So that was really helpful. And then the other one there was, I also was just, really grounded in what I wanted to accomplish. The team has goals to hit, and we need everyone focused. And so I'm really clear on sharing my intent. So those three things have really helped
Yeah.
us as a team perform really, really well.
I know I've had friends, family, etc., that have been moved into a leadership role, and I know one of the big challenges is understanding where the lines are drawn and whether, to your tennis analogy, is that, if you're quote unquote coworkers and you share stories about your kids and what sports they're in and what vacations you're going on, and I don't know, just personal things that naturally come into the work environment. And then all of
Right.
a sudden, I can see how if you don't ask and address and acknowledge the power shift, where all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, though they probably don't want to hear that now because now I report to them, so they don't want to, I just that's a slippery slope, and I like these. I think these are great tips for people moving into a new leadership role.
The other thing, Brad, that's been really helpful because there's conversations, or even when you don't have conversations, it's just filled with emotions. Then is to acknowledge those feelings and then add facts to it. It's
Okay.
really helped me kind of have a balanced perspective. So, I mean, rewind, 6+ years ago, I was responsible for like our member intake at the Alliance. I picked it up. We do like 15 to 20. I worked my way up to about 40 new members a year, engaging them. And so that was great. Like, there you go. It was a good number for us. Fast forward a few more years, Monica Smith joins the team. She takes over the responsibility. And I was nervous to let go, but we went through the training, we did the tell, show, do review process, and she's off and running to the races she goes. She worked it up. Last year she did 95 of these things. So it's just the cold hard facts that we were at 40, she brought it up to 95. Like, Kirby, get out of the way. Right. And so just adding that has really helped me, regardless of how I have felt. It just grounds me. And that's just one story.
Love it. Yep.
The other thing, and this is the last thing that's really been beneficial, is finding that satisfaction in developing others. So I mentioned development at the beginning of this one. So here's another snapshot of the majority of the team here, not everybody. And you can tell everyone's got like a book in front of them. So we went through a book. I know that's got a stigma around it, but this was really good. This is really good. So everybody on the team got a chance to identify their working styles. And so we went through Patrick Lencioni's Working Genius, and it helped everyone identify, in a nutshell, like their sweet spot, like how each individual likes to work. Because we all have our working frustrations, styles of work that bug us. Then we all have our working competencies. Like we can do these things, but if we do them for a long period of time, we get burned out. And then we have our working geniuses. We want to do this all day long. Like 80% of the time, we got to be working in this way. There's six elements. So there's two in the genius, two in the working competency section, and two in the frustration. Once you put language into working styles and you know how people like to work, you know that some people are like wanderers and inventors, and they're over here kind of up in the clouds. And then, of course, there's other people that are like, well, once you guys come back down to reality, I'll help implement, right? And so just knowing those simple things, having specific language around it, and saying even basic things like, well, this meeting with these people is to be able to galvanize the team so that we're really on the same page around our roles and our goals. And it helps individuals find that sweet spot and work in a way that's enjoyable to them without frustrating others. And so it's helped really maximize our team's performance here. And it has brought me by far the most satisfaction I have had in terms of developing our immediate team in the last couple of years. So I'd highly recommend the book, and beyond that, taking everything that you learn in this book and applying it. I've done it. It's been huge for us.
Fantastic. Yeah, it reminds me a little bit. I know there's an EOS kind of quadrant talking about great and love, and spend as much time as you can doing the things that you love doing and that you're great at. The
Yeah.
second thing should be things you love and you're good at, and then start to delegate and elevate things that you dislike or that you, even if you like them, but you're not good at them. And that can be a pitfall is, oh, I really like doing this, but you got to realize some certain things you like doing, you're just not the best on the team to be doing it. So it struck a chord there a little bit, or reminded me a little bit of that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really good. So very similar to that. So I think everyone should, take a few more seconds here, write down what's one thing you'll do to be able to let go so you don't hold it all in as a leader, right? How can you acknowledge the power shift, add facts to your feelings, and find satisfaction in developing others? Those things have really helped me. I think one, if not two of those things will really help you.
That's fantastic. And while people are jotting down their answers here, did you want to address, first of all, Shane, love your comment. And it's almost like you had anticipated what Kirby was going to say next in the development of it. But he just commented, loves motivated by helping others, whether that's contributing to my employees' success, supporting my peers, or encouraging those less fortunate as they can work toward a better future. That's fantastic.
Love it.
Let's see. Oh, there was a power question in here. Maybe I already got it. Let's see. Oh, there. How can you motivate others in your team with power? That came up
Mm.
while you were talking about the power aspect of the good and the bad of it.
hmm Yeah. So foundationally, it's about using your formal authority, your formal power to champion their ideas. Oftentimes, they need their ideas to be seen and heard, and then even beyond that, prioritized and then resourced. And so you can use your power as a team lead, supervisor, or manager to do those exact things.
Oh, okay. Fantastic. All right. And then if you want to continue, we'll grab, there's one other question that was popped up here, but we'll address
Okay.
that in a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so then mistake number three. This is three of three that, I mean, it's really unfortunate that I see all the time. And it's that you're just not on the same page as your boss, right? So even as a boss, you got a boss. And if the two of you are not on the same page, again, you're going in 10 different directions and you're going nowhere fast. So, what's behind this one for me, most often caused by expectations just not being clear. And so, what can you do about it? It's really about establishing those priorities. And then some strategies to go even deeper here that I've used is really just putting yourself in their shoes, like slow is smooth, smooth is fast. So, try to demonstrate some empathy and then get
Hold on.
into,
One
oh,
question
yeah,
here, Kirby, just some clarification. Put yourself in your team's shoes or put yourself in your boss's shoes?
your bosses.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, because when you and your boss are not on the same page, it shows, and it can have a negative impact on your team, especially if you demonstrate that behavior with you and your boss in public. And so I would take all those issues upline, as they say, and figure out how you can establish priorities and clear expectations with your boss. You don't want any of your, like, let's say you're using your power, right, to champion an idea of somebody on the team, and yet you're not on the same page as your boss, and you've said yes, and they say no. That initiative is DOA. So you really got to sync up.
Yep, I like that.
So, putting yourself in their shoes, again, in your boss's shoes. So, here's a picture of me and my father. So, our founder was my father, and I would say 98% of the time, totally synced up. Like, honestly, it was a blessing because a lot of even family businesses that we are privy to be familiar with that are manufacturers, and there's a lot of them like there's a lot of dysfunction out there. And we were actually very functional. But there were times, really just two occasions, that I would say that there was an immovable object and an unstoppable force. And it was like, what's gonna happen here? I don't know what's gonna happen. And so here's what I did that helped. Like I tried to go really slow and understand his opinions. And then I had to ask clarifying questions like, what do you mean by this stuff? And then I would just listen and I would suspend any judgment. And then ultimately in these two scenarios, we said, together, let's do it this way for the next 6 months, and we put just a timestamp on it. This will agree to do this for 6 months. And then, okay, Kirby, after that, your decision on what changes. And it was because of our process, I think, that helped us kind of come to this conclusion. And so just really effective. It made me think about like how valuable it is to take a look at different perspectives, his, and how it can shape your perception. But you got to kind of go slow and really look at everything for what it is and take some of the emotion out of it. Not all of it, because that's important. But it makes me think of this image like, which trophy do you think is bigger? The one on the left or the one on the right?
Looks like the one on the right.
Yeah, it does a little bit. But like when you look at how they're aligned at the base, they're the same. Yeah. So can you get aligned at the base? Can you understand his why? Can he understand your why? Because like oftentimes like you think, hey, my boss should have all the answers, but they're working on the same assumptions you are. And you might both acknowledge that. Like, I'm assuming this, I'm assuming this. Both assumptions. Okay, great. Here's how we're going to break a tie, right? Here's what we're going to do. And for our founder and myself, it was this is what we'll do for 6 months. And then from that point on, we'll change. And so that was the process we used.
Yeah.
So
One, someone had,
go ahead.
an associate of mine had made a comment, shared, and I really liked it. It was two things can be true at the same time,
Yeah.
and perspective is such a huge part of that. But I loved it. It's when you really think about it, yeah, it's a great concept to keep in mind.
Yeah. Absolutely huge. So like I get it. Like that was between me and our founder. What about you and your boss? So here's a couple of like practical things. So understand what others need from you and communicate your needs to others. That counts for you and your boss and for you and the people on your team. Like you want the You can count on me. I can count on you, right? Right? That's what we want. So, for example, like I do this all the time. Like, can I add something to your plate? Well, yes, Kirby, but what can we take off? Okay, great. Let's talk about priorities and capacity and deadlines. Maybe we add something and then maybe we take something off. Or, okay, hey, what if you become short-staffed for a day? Great, here's my plan for that scenario. Or I'm concerned about being down two team members. Okay, how can I count on you? Well, let's allocate a couple of hours for you to work with HR on the job description. Okay, great. But then when can HR post this and when can we start recruiting? You can count on me. I'll put together the game plan. But then how can I count on you for that long-term solution? So it's got to work both ways. And
Sure.
that's just on like the one-to-one level. Like I get it in manufacturing, there's a lot going on. That's just like I've been talking a lot about the team perspective. You've got other expectations around regulations, regulatory bodies, quality systems and certifications, customer partnerships. Like the list goes on and on and on of expectations of an organization. And people can get lost. New leaders can easily get lost in this stuff. So I want to ground you in this. When all else fails, you need to know the why. Why are we doing what we're doing? You may not know exactly what, exactly how, or exactly how much, but you can synchronize on expectations when you know why something is important. And you can, have team members adjust the what and the how as time
Sure.
goes by. So
Yep.
don't get lost in it. Focus on that.
Yep.
When you're working with team members, then on that expectation to synchronize an expectation that's one-on-one, like to be clear, this formula, this little nugget has helped me significantly. When they're like, well, what exactly do you expect of me? And I'm like, I need you to accomplish X by Y. X is the task, Y is the deadline. I need you to accomplish running payroll by January 29th. I need you to accomplish 10 part inspections by 2 p.m. today. I need you to complete 3 engineering change orders by Friday at 8 when we have our engineering meeting. Like, really clear. I need you to accomplish X by Y. Being clear is being kind. I have felt in the past where I'm like, oh, I feel like a dictator. Can someone else do this? And it's like, no, that's your job now. And so just remember that being clear is actually being really kind.
We've had some great predictions. Dick Nash posted clear as kind earlier, like 10 minutes ago, and then it just came
Oh,
up here.
nice.
Another thing that aligns with this, which was great. Adam Carroll did a couple of webinars and leadership series for us. And one of the things he stated that I've utilized in my business and personal life was unstated expectations are pre-planned resentment.
Ooh, that's good.
I love it. I mean, I went home that day and I told my son, our garbage goes out on Wednesday night. I expect by Thursday night, the garbage cans are moved back to the garage. You're in and
Good.
out of the house. You're going to school. You're coming from school. You're coming from hockey practice. Like just, and it was so funny because I'd get home and I'd be frustrated. The garbage cans were there, and I just came home and I just stated it. And
That's
and
so
there,
good.
yeah. So unstated expectations are pre-planned resentments. It's a great line.
I absolutely love it. It's very memorable. And like, so you got to master that first, right? You got to master this first. Once you've got that, then it's like, then you could be clear on what happens if you don't do this, right? If you don't bring the garbage in, you are not getting your allowance because there's
Right.
always
Yep.
stakes. There's always something at risk there. So this is the last. I thought we take, maybe it's another 30 seconds for someone to write down what they'll do. Like, how are you going to put yourself in their shoes, which I think is really important. Establish some empathy, really understand where they're coming from, then get into the tactics of syncing up expectations. So just want to encourage people to take a few moments and write something down that they'll do as a result of this.
And then as they're working on that, I'll hit this last question up here. And certainly, please, I think we're getting towards the end of the presentation, so feel free to continue to post any questions. What are the most effective ways for new leaders to proactively stay aligned with their boss, particularly if expectations are not clearly communicated?
Stay aligned, even though he had a rocky start because expectations weren't clear. So you should have a one-on-one with your boss, and maybe it's weekly, every couple of weeks, every 3 weeks, whatever the cadence is. And they should keep the time. You should keep the time. You should have a standard agenda for that time. And that time is ideally, uh, let's say you're spending a half an hour together. Those first 15, 20 minutes, it's all about you and what do you need as someone that is meeting with their boss. What do I need from you? And you could tell them, like, hey, I know we want to accomplish this goal. I know that we're working on improving our on-time delivery. And I know we've broken that out into these three projects. I'm not clear on this one. And here's why I'm not clear. Like, I'm not clear on exactly what we're going to do because, Kirby and Brad haven't showed up on time the last 2 days. And so, help me overcome these issues and help me really understand what good looks like for this project.
Yeah.
So that one-on-one with that agenda and making sure you're clear on what good looks like is the best way to sync up and then stay synced up.
Yep. Here's a great tip here that Dick Nash had posted. Each create a top 5 priority list and have a shared goal session. Exchange one at a time and discuss why they are important to each of you. I could see how that would um, help to just flush out where the misalignment is and start getting closer to having similar and aligned expectations. So yep, that's a great tip.
Yeah, yeah, and the more those goals can be measurable, the better. Everybody on my team, for example, has a dashboard. They've got somewhere between one and five goals that are red, yellow, green, and has a metric for it. So we can clearly know like on or off track.
Yep. Yep.
And then it's nice to be able to say, hey, here's where you fit. Here's why your work really matters. These goals tie up to the company goals. And we have to have these three goals met for this company goal to be met. So it's nice to be able to
Yep.
have that conversation. Just be easy.
Yep. I like that.
Okay, so those are the three mistakes that I've seen all the time. Like you want everyone to like you, you struggle to let go, and you're just not on the same page as your boss. I share this because I want people to graduate out of it. There's other mistakes that we make. It's just that these I've seen time and time again. So I want you to overcome these. And ultimately, like the thing that is very motivating for me is having you become someone's best boss. I love those stories. I love those conversations. We've all had that boss where you're like, yep, that boss stunk. This one was great. And then you share a few stories about it. I want you to be someone's best boss and they share stories about you being a really, really good leader. Like that is what hits it home for me. I also recognize, and I usually get asked, like, hey, Kirby, that's great. This is, for you and your team and it's a relatively small team. Like I totally get it. How does this stuff scale up? Well, I would say that really leadership at scale is best demonstrated by Nortech Systems. So and it wasn't a couple of months. They took a couple of years and they took really these mistakes and these best practices, as well as other items that are taught, like in our supervision fundamentals certification, like improving communication, reducing conflict, and team collaboration. Applied those to their frontline leaders. And there's a few dozen of them across multiple sites in Minnesota and beyond to see this kind of result, that 50% reduction in turnover. And so these ideas, these practices, when put in place and done well, can have a really big impact for frontline leadership. And if it's something that you want to do and you want to invest in your team, you can be like other members. You could start to connect with people that you can trust, other peers within manufacturing, start to see what's possible, what's out there, and then really develop new skills, whether it's new leadership skills or like process improvement skills when it works best for you by engaging in we have community groups that meet online. We do webinars both live and on demand, and then digital courses for that step-by-step kind of how-to training.
Okay.
And when you do that, like you'll be a part of the alliance, you'll be a manufacturer among good company. There's lots of manufacturers within the alliance, 400 plus. We've got some small, some large, some public, some private, some union, some non-union, some of the custom folks, some of the engineer to order folks, the make to stock folks. Like there's a good variety of manufacturers that you can relate to because everyone says like we're different and you are, and yet we could find someone that really is a peer that you could relate to, that could share some of their own personal success stories that you can glean from to be able to become a better leader. And the next step, like for everyone that's on the webinar here, is you could just take one step. You could listen to our podcast. It's called How Manufacturers Improve. We also have a newsletter now called How Manufacturers Improve if you like to read about what industry leaders are doing in manufacturing to help become better leaders themselves and help lead their teams to overcome some of these mistakes and these challenges like the ones we talked about today. So I'd encourage everyone to, if you got your cell phone out, you can snap that QR code and it'll bring you to the podcast.
Love it. Love it. Well, I'll start the wrap up process here if any more Q&A doesn't come in. I do want to remind everyone we will have our third and final webinar of this series coming up on March 11th. Again, it's a Wednesday again, 12 o'clock again, and the topic is going to be creating a continuous improvement culture that lasts. So. I would recommend and encourage any and all of you to join us again. Kirby, as always, appreciate your time. Fantastic, nice and concise, to the point, great takeaways. So I appreciate it. Shane just made a comment here as well. How much value he's getting from the leadership workshops you offer. So appreciate that, Shane. Hope everyone else got a little bit of something to take away from it. Again, Kirby, as always, appreciate the time, and hopefully we'll see everyone in a month. Take care.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you, everybody.